CES 2012, I'm here with Kellee from Thatgamecompany doing the really awesome looking Journey right now, and you guys have done some pretty awesome games before in Flower and Flow, and I think it's safe to say that the new game is pretty much as original as the previous games, right?
Thank you. I think so. Yeah, Journey, it's our first online game actually, and so I think players that are familiar with Flow and Flower will certainly recognize a common DNA through our games. It's very experiential. It's all about discovery and exploration through the world. But as you're on this journey to the mountaintop, you can encounter another player that looks similar to you, and that is another person who's online somewhere in the world. But there's no PlayStation Network ID, there's no in-game messaging system. All you really know about them is that they're on this same journey, and you can choose to travel together, or if you don't want to, you wander away from each other and you'll be disconnected and left open to connect with someone else.
But co-op gaming and multiplayer gaming in general has been really big in this console generation. But that mostly comes from you playing with your friends in sport games or in first-person shooters. So why did you make this radical change where you're not, I would say, allowed to know who you're playing with?
Well, we knew we wanted to make an online game because exactly like you said, I mean, more and more players every year are coming online and wanting to play together. But at the same time, being that game company, we wanted to see, well, what other possibilities are there for online play? And so Journey is kind of like one experiment into a different kind of online experience you could have that really focuses on just connecting with a stranger within the virtual world that you're in.
Does it give you some extra pressure that people by now are kind of expecting you guys to do something really original every time you do a new game? I mean, I remember just seeing the first screens of Journey, and everyone was just like, at our place was just like, yeah, that's a Thatgamecompany game.
Yes, definitely, and exactly when we first debuted the game a year and a half ago, the response was just so overwhelming. I mean, it was, I think, the first time we really recognized through Flow and Flower we had gotten a reputation and also a fan base, and definitely felt the pressure to live up to that.
How did you guys start out? How did you decide that if you wanted to, I mean, a lot of people start out with this dream of making games and wanting to do the best games in the world, but not a lot of teams start out with the idea that they want to do something really original, not just a video game, but something quite different from everything else.
Well, I think when Genova Chen, who's the co-founder and creative director, and I met each other at the University of Southern California Interactive Media Program, we both learned about game design with that same perspective, I guess, of that games are a communicative medium, and therefore they should have the possibility of communicating and exhibiting a wide range of emotions. And we both play all sorts of games. There's certainly nothing wrong, and in fact a lot of games are out there that are great, that are nothing like ours. But just why weren't games offering a wider variety of experiences, and could we do that? We were also really fortunate that as we were graduating, we had worked together on the student project Cloud, which was kind of an experiment into doing that, of making a game that had a different kind of experience. And we met the folks at Sony Santa Monica who were just starting to kind of look at building their library for the PlayStation Network. And there was a great match there where they wanted to have the PlayStation Network be a place where players could find a wide variety of unique, high-quality experiences. And that's exactly what we wanted to make as well. And that's when they offered us the 3-game deal to do games for PlayStation Network.
But do you see the whole thing about online distribution of games opening up the doors for companies like you? Would you ever have imagined being able to do games like Journey and Flow and Flower had it not been for services like the PlayStation Network?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. The digital distribution has just totally opened up the possibilities of who can make a game, and therefore what kind of games we're seeing. I think both Genova and I had the idea that we were going to go, at that time, what was like your usual route into the game industry, which is you sort of put in your 3 to 5 years at a large studio, got together some savings, made contacts of people you want to work with, and then you would go do your other thing. But now through digital distribution, we're seeing people, from 16-year-olds who have no training, to people right out of school, and also people who are who have been working at those studios but want to do something different, are just like immediately able to make those games and distribute them to the public at large, where they can decide for themselves what kind of games they like.
Does that, it may not be your area at the company, but does that go into the way you hire people? Do you go out of your way to find people who maybe doesn't necessarily have the experience, but who have done original projects before?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's tricky because we are looking for people. I always tell people and students who are interested in coming in games, you really got to make games, because no matter what, we're looking at that portfolio. Do you have the ability to have an idea and see it through to completion on your own? I mean, and we're also a small team, so Journey was 12 people, and so we don't have a lot of management overhead. We really have to rely on each person that we hire being a real self-starter and self-motivator, and someone that is passionate about making games differently and that are different.
That's quite surprising, because I don't know why, but I had gotten it into my head that Journey was by far your biggest project to date, and that also required at least a bigger team that it seemed like you had before.
Yeah, well, Journey took 3 years, so it's been our longest development cycle. Flower, in comparison, was 2 years. But we still find that because of how experimental and therefore iterative our game development process is, that it requires still a small team, but over a longer period of time. Journey's definitely our biggest project to date. So.
And is there a release date for it yet?
Right now, it's just spring of 2012. Yeah.